Well, good morning again. Today is the second WalkTalk I'm doing. It's a little colder today, but we can handle it. I think there's a little bit of frost on the ground, but no ice, so I'll take no ice. Yesterday I talked a little bit about searching and got a couple of positive comments, so I thought, well, today I'll do something different and talk a little bit about something technical. Actually, yesterday I spent about, I guess, an hour and a half discussing clutches with a customer. I've got a gentleman calling me from Maryland who's putting a J-Series J32A2 engine, which is from a 2002-2003 TL Type S. He's putting that in his Integra, 2000 Integra, using, I imagine, some mounts from Hossport or something. But he's building the engine. The weird thing that he's doing, though, is he's putting a J37 crankshaft in. Coming to find that that's actually not that weird these days. Stroking these J-Series out is something a lot of people are doing. And he needed a clutch. So he called me looking for an Osco Motorsports flywheel, and we actually helped develop that flywheel with Osco Motorsports, at least the 07-08 Type S version of it. They already had the earlier version, but we have some knowledge of that flywheel and how it's designed because of that. Anyway, he had some technical questions that I had to call Osco about, and after talking to the customer afterwards, we started talking about clutches and what can I do to get more power held. And I said, well, there really aren't very many options for clutches. You know, we got clutch masters, Spec makes a clutch. There's probably others. Those are the only two that I know of off the top of my head. Those are both self-adjusting clutches. Now, the stock clutch for the J-Series is a self-adjusting clutch. And if you're asking what does that mean, I did too a number of years ago. Basically what it is those pressure plates adjust their engagement point as the clutch wears down. So normally as the clutch wears, the friction point will change in the pedal throw, and you won't get consistent, come on Dylan, you won't get consistent take-up as the clutch wears down. Usually I think you'll find that you have to push it in farther to get it to disengage. So with the conventional clutch, you kind of have the engagement point really close to the floor, if I'm not getting that backwards. Correct me if I'm wrong. The self-adjusting clutch keeps that engagement point right in the middle, even as the clutch disc wears down. It's a convenient feature to have. That way the car drives the same over time. One of the problems with it is, though, that we got the poop again. One of the problems with the self-adjusting clutch is they're much more difficult to upgrade. You might think, well, why don't they just make new ones that are higher performance, like they do with every other car? Well, the truth is that every other performance clutch that you see out there, for the most part, is a rebuilt factory clutch. If you're talking about Clutch Masters or ACT or any one of the big clutch companies, they don't make new pressure plates. that stamped cover that bolts onto your flywheel is a part that's mass produced somewhere and built into a clutch, and then those a lot of times are torn down, and that pressure plate is rebuilt with upgraded parts. Something that people maybe don't realize. Now, they do modify them pretty extensively. The diaphragm is heat treated. Heavier duty straps are installed to keep it more stable and strong. But the cover itself is just an off-the-shelf part. And the clutches are fairly well made from the factory, so there really isn't that much need to change any of these other things. Probably if you want more clamping force, that's what the changes do. A self-adjusting clutch, unfortunately, is a lot more complicated in how the pressure plate is designed. Apparently, and I called around to some high-ranking industry people, maybe not high-ranking, but very knowledgeable. I got probably 50 plus years worth of experience in my ear yesterday. So what I was told was that self-adjusting pressure plates really can't practically be upgraded. Taking them apart is something that nobody really does. It can be done. You can take them apart, make some changes, and put them back together again. But it's cost prohibitive. It requires a lot of labor, and the upgrades that you do don't really amount to much of a change over what it did when you took it apart. One of the main things that people would do to get a little bit more strength out of a self-adjusting pressure plate is to take out the self-adjusting mechanism, sort of disabling it to a degree, which, you know, it can be a good thing to do from a certain perspective, but it's really not much of an upgrade for street people. It's not really making it effectively stronger. That simple thing right there may be something that helps in racing, but on the street it's not going to benefit in any practical way. Kind of getting back on track again. Yeah, these self-adjusting pressure plates aren't really able to be upgraded, and if they were, I should say, it would be very expensive to do. One of the guys I talked to has done them, but it's very expensive. So I think what that kind of tells me is, in combination with the other gentleman I was talking to, who basically said it can't be done. I think what he really meant is it can't be done practically, and it isn't done. That is upgrading self-adjusting pressure plates. If you see a performance clutch kit with a self-adjusting pressure plate in it, it's a stock pressure plate. So absorb that for a second. Performance clutch that's stock. How does it perform any better than the standard unit? Well, the answer is they upgrade the disc. There are a couple of ways to get better performance out of a clutch, and really what you're talking about is increasing friction between the disc and the flywheel. You can do that by increasing the coefficient of friction of the material, which is the clutch disc, and they'll put, maybe a strengthened organic or a puck type clutch disc to increase the friction. Another way to increase friction is to increase the normal force, which is the clamping force. Well, obviously, if they can't increase the normal force, then they'll just put an upgraded disc in. And as it turns out, nearly every clutch company has, at their base level, a clutch package where the disc is upgraded, but the pressure plate is completely stock, and they just paint it their own color, and they brand it their own clutch. Maybe they take it apart and, polish something or put their own bit in there or something, but it's essentially stock. And actually, I think the initial reaction to that is that people are getting ripped off. But I don't think that's really true. I think people want to get value for their money. When you buy a brand name clutch, if it's a stock clutch or if it's, a high performance one, you're expecting it to be reliable. You're expecting it to do what you want it to do. And you're expecting it maybe to cost a reasonable amount of money for what you're getting. And they do that. If a clutch company is capable of producing a clutch with a stock pressure plate and an upgraded disc at a certain price point that people are happy to pay, then where's the harm in that? I think it only becomes a problem when they say that there's an increased clamping force. Now, if they say it'll hold an increased amount of torque, well, that's true. With the disc upgraded, it probably does. And if they say it has a stock pedal feel, well, it probably does, because it's a stock pressure plate. The clutch business itself is really a mysterious one, and I've never sold a lot of clutches because I've always had a hard time consolidating the marketing. Like, how am I supposed to sell a clutch? It seems like an easy question to answer. Just, figure what people need for their power ratings and give them something. But it's like, this guy's got heavy duty, that guy's got stage 1, this guy's got Kevlar, this guy's got organic, or there's pucks over there. Like, why are there so many different options? And how come a Clutchmaster stage 1 is so much different than an Exedy stage 1? The stages are stupid. Calling them out as stages is dumb. And the main reason why is because it's not standard. You can't compare stage 1 amongst the manufacturers to see which one is the best stage 1, because they're all made different. There's no standard. I don't really like using stages at all. We use them from time to time, but that's because that's the way people talk, and that's the way the industry thinks. People want to see things. You get a higher stage, it means you're doing more or something. It doesn't make any sense to me. You get the minimum amount of clutch for the maximum amount of power you think you'll need. And that's it. The story's over. I had a customer who tracked his Prelude a lot. And over the course of a few years, he put 100,000 track miles on his Prelude. This is a daily car, but he tracked it all the time. And completely stock OEM replacement Exedy Daikin clutch. Exedy is an OE manufacturer, and their stage 1 and replacement stuff is, for all intent and purpose, completely stock parts. He never had a problem. If you're not doing crazy drag launches or anything, then there's no need for a crazy clutch. There's no need for a puck clutch. Until your power gets to a point where you really do have to have it. But you don't necessarily have to have an upgraded pressure plate too. You could probably save yourself a lot of money buying clutches if you just would buy a stock pressure plate and an upgraded disc. We thought about offering that kind of thing, but then the question is anybody going to buy it? Because everybody thinks that they need more clutch than they do. And then briefly I thought, well, why don't I just get stock clutches and paint them and put a different disc in? I'm not doing anything that the industry isn't doing, but I just don't sell things that way, so I end up at an impasse. I don't like the way clutch companies rate their clutches. I don't like not knowing what I'm getting. I don't like overpaying for parts myself. And if I don't like it, then I don't ask my customers to do it. If they ask me, that's something different. But I don't ask them to do it, and I don't try to sell something that I can't, honest to goodness, come to you and say, oh yes, this is better than stock. So, hence, we don't sell a lot of clutches. That needs to change. We do need to offer these upgrades to people, but we just have to figure out the right way to market them, and go from there. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a little rambly, a little technical, and clutches is a complicated topic, but I learned a lot yesterday, and I wanted to share some of it with you guys. And yeah, have a good day.